We know all too well that the launches of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 weren't fantastic. Performance issues for lots of people, coupled with netcode and various other issues. To correct that, DICE implemented a Cte Program, or Community Test Environment, to test features and fixes, and it has to be said it really turned around the state of Battlefield 4 in an impressive way. In fact, Battlefield 4 is in a really good place these days, and I think it's still the best modern multiplayer military first-person shooter you can play. That being said, we didn't have a Cte on launch of Battlefield 1, and with very good reason. DICE made a big effort apparently to ensure that the launch was as perfect as it possibly could be, even leaving some features out of the game to ensure it worked as intended and as few people as possible had problems. And well, I think we can say that that definitely worked. Sure, there are features that we would have liked missing from the game at launch, but you can't deny that the game's launch was a massive improvement over the previous games. That being said, Battlefield is still a game that is constantly improving, and like a lot of modern games these days, a separate version of the game to test changes with is becoming the norm. Overwatch recently has done a great job of testing out new maps, heroes and changes in their test environment before releasing it into the full game, and now a few months after release, Battlefield 1 is also getting a Cte program. Just announced today, premium players will be able to test out new changes and tweaks via a secondary client that you'll have to download, just like it was with BF4. The way I believe it's going to work is that at first, codes will be sent out to certain community members or Battlefield veterans to start with, and then anyone will also be able to sign up for a chance to get in via the Battlefield companion app. Just to reiterate though, just like with BF4, you'll need to own Battlefield Premium to get into the Cte. I know that's not to everyone's liking, but it's the way that it was with BF4 and with BF Hardline. To begin with, only PC players will be able to sign up, but the goal is to let PS4 and Xbox players have access as soon as possible. The benefit of having it on PC is that updates can be pushed to the Cte as fast as DICE want them to be, whereas with a normal vanilla client update there are a lot of hoops that they have to go through to get the console updates verified, and as such, updates tend to be quite large and a few months apart. With the Cte though, on PC at least, updates can be tested and changes can be made regularly. I'm not sure how often DICE will be able to test console updates when they're ready to make those versions live. Either way, it's fantastic that there'll now be somewhere that we can test new changes and improve the overall gameplay experience and balance of Battlefield 1 for the better. If BF4's changes are anything to go by, it's only going to help BF1 move forward. So what's going to be tested then? Well, lots of stuff really, from vehicle balance, weapon balance, even stuff that may never actually see the light of day in the vanilla game. It's possible that some things may get tested and they're never actually implemented into the base game. That's kind of the point, I suppose. However, we do know what the first Cte patch looks like thanks to a blog post, and this is a good indication of what the spring patch is going to bring to Battlefield 1. I'm not sure exactly how much will be implemented straight away, but here's what we've got coming to test in the first community test environment version. First off, ribbons, and I think a lot of us have been asking for them. I think the current medal system just really isn't up to scratch. Now though, we'll be able to collect ribbons as we play. There will be 20 different ribbons to collect, with more being added down the line. They net you 500 XP for getting them, and the goal is to promote good team play, but hopefully you'll be able to work towards ribbons at any time, unlike the current medal system, which definitely sucks. As well as that, if you're a bit of an achievement hunter, you may want to try and get one of the new elite codexes available for 8 of the primary weapons in the game. Pretty easy to obtain though, you just have to get 500 more kills per weapon, and you'll not only get a shiny elite codex that you can show off to your friends, but also 25,000 XP in one go. Golly, that could perhaps help you work your way up to the class ranks, which have now been increased from 10 to 50. This isn't really that major, I mean it's just a number at the end of the day, but if you do want to hit max rank with a class, you'll be granted some extra kill card flair so they know just how cool you are. Next is something pretty interesting. DICE have added in a feature to allow players to vote for the next map after the match is over. Players will get 2 maps to vote for, and whichever gets the most votes, you guess it, wins. The options will be randomly selected from the server's map rotation, so perhaps no more Suez, and this system has been implemented into the victory screen as to not add any more time to the round. I think this will be a cool feature once it's finalised, and apparently it's not going to be on all servers. Also, DICE developer JJJU has confirmed that the kick ban feature is coming for rented servers in the new patch as well. And while on the topic of servers, 2 new options have been added into this build, a toggle for behemoths to be either on or off, and also toggling of squad leader only spawn if you want to get some of those Battlefield 2 vibes back. Those are what I would call the biggest changes, but there are also a ton of small fixes and weapon tweaks. The gas, for instance, is getting looked at. Finally, it's not quite been reduced down to 1 per person as I would like, but it's had its duration reduced from 22 seconds down to 15, and that's definitely a good start. As well as that, certain guns have had their horizontal recoil increased by almost 15%, the Hellriegel, the Automatico Trench, the M1909 Storm, Madsen Storm, MG15 Storm and the Bar Storm. The Martini Henry has had its damage increased ever so slightly between 30 to 80 meters, and impact grenades have had their damage reduced from 80 to 72. All of these tweaks kind of going towards a less grenade spammy game, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Suppression has also seen some tweaks. Its threshold has been increased, which is designed to prevent suppression from occurring too early, and the effects of suppression and that of the low health visuals have been tweaked. Suppression is a bit of a weird one in BF1 because it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Do you remember Battlefield 3 with Vaseline covering your screen? Other changes include vehicle selection now being disabled when the pre-round countdown is taking place to ensure that people get a fair crack at the whip of getting a vehicle. That seems like a fair move, to be honest. I'm sure that people who get into the round late will appreciate that. Also, there has been an improved cavalry victim experience. Sounds pretty ominous, but it says that you should no longer get killed by cavalry using a saber from multiple meters away, and this is something that I've brought up in the past. I'm not sure whether to jump for joy or cry really. It's brutally annoying to get killed by a horse when he's nowhere near you, but well, I kinda like the horses. I'll still love them either way, I think. Wrapping things up, all of these changes and way more are going to be active on the CTE when it goes live very soon, and most of, if not all of them, will see their way to the game in the next patch. After that, DICE can start testing future patches, but I've got a feeling that they may not include all DLC maps this time in the CTE. It's just a feeling, but I often thought that with BF4 it somewhat ruined the launch of the DLC when people had already played the maps loads in the CTE already. So there we go guys, that's that little update video out of the way for CTE. I'm glad that the CTE is coming back to the game, as it does give an interesting place to test and experiment with things that could or could not make it into the final game. Test the balance, test for any bugs or glitches before they make it in the vanilla game, and we have to wait ages for a patch to fix it. 2 thumbs up from me. As always, thank you so much for watching guys. Leave a comment down below and a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. I love you guys lots, and I'll see you in the next one.